Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Your first contest is being brought to you by FightMichigan.com. Introducing all three men in the cage at this time, starting with your referee. He is a former #1 ranked amateur bantamweight in Ohio. Top 10 ranked pound-for-pound amateur fighter in Ohio. He's a two-time Naga Grappling Tournament medalist, two-time MAAG grappling champion, four-time Ohio Cage Combat champion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Josh Short Stack Robinson. And now the fighters. First, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks, standing 5 feet 5 inches tall, he weighed in at 145 pounds. He's an orthodox fighter representing the Michigan Extreme Combat Sports Team. Bringing with him to the cage an even record of 1 win and 1 loss. Fighting out of Wayne, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Tevin Kid Flash Hines. His opponent across the cage, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks trimmed in blue. Standing 5 feet 6 inches tall, he weighed in at 139 pounds. He's a freestyle mixed martial artist, making his debut in the cage for you tonight. Fighting out of and representing White Lake, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, here is David, the Albanian Bulldog Kallajh. And this is the beautiful Michigan Extreme Combat Sports cage girl, Adrian. Time to hoot and holler, guys.
All right, fight fans. So, Tevin Hines is coming in with a little bit more experience. He has been off. He's out of the red corner. He has been off for 2 years because of that broken hand, but he said he's anxious to come back. And, this has got athleticism written all over his bio. He wrestled for a couple of years, track for 4 years, football. So, he's coming in with that background.
He's got that explosive build, and the challenge for David Kallajh is going to be the first 30 seconds of this fight, because I don't think he's going to be ready for the pace that Tevin's going to push this fight at once he gets settled into a rhythm here.
Really talented in terms of just coming in with a jab. It's hard to get some of the professional fighters to do that, and Tevin's done a good job of coming in with that. So Tevin Hines is in the black compression shorts, and David Kallajh in the blue and white.
David Kallajh did a good job of trying to turn through on that blown double there, but he got himself in trouble, and that was all athleticism. Now trying to turn out from the underside there, he's in a lot of trouble early, Kara.
Well, you're going to see a little bit of the wrestling background of Tevin Hines play a role here, too.
Able to come out the back door. You got to keep those knees tight. Now looking to play some loose, open guard from his bottom. The problem is he might have trained the right. Nice sweep. You can see the inexperience of Tevin Hines here also. He should not have been swept like that. He recovered quickly, but the positioning there, he should just be dropping heavy leather, just like that.
Yeah, and you never know with a little bit of cage rust being out for 2 years, and you got to get your sea legs under you quickly.
Well, I'll tell you what, if the first 30 seconds of this fight taught him anything, he needs to keep it on his feet and just start stringing them together, because he landed 6 or 8 consecutive punches. Here we go again. And he's not throwing it 100%, but he's very accurate. And look at the mouse.
But it has a tendency when people put combinations together to get really high, and you've got to be able to stay low and keep that balance, and so you can deliver some power.
Well, you look at the face of David Kallajh, and there's a little bit on there. He's got some abrasions already from.
Which you're going to see anyways, right, with 4-ounce gloves. But, what you could deliver if you're in the right position is a lot more damaging.
Well, I'll tell you what these guys are going to have to watch out for, and this might level out the grappling a little bit. As the night cools off, the humidity is going to make this vinyl very slick. One-sided fight so far, Kara.
And Tevin Hines coming in with some good footwork as well, and that's what we want to see really early in your career, because that's going to establish everything. Great, straight right, down the pipe, lands, but he didn't jump on him. You got it. When you hurt your opponent, you got to jump on them and finish that off. He's tired. You can see Hines is holding his breath a little bit. That's something he's got to work on.
Big knee up the center. Right now, just push off the head and separate.
Kallajh just trying to survive in there.
Well, Kallajh may be able to bring this to another round if he just holds on from where he's at right now. And we've already seen him almost turn through this position once. He's looking to try to now at least establish a half guard, if not turn all the way through.
Well, the tricky thing is when you face someone a little bit green and someone that doesn't have the experience, they do things that are really unorthodox.
They don't do what they're supposed to in
right.
a given situation. And if you train for what they're supposed to do, sometimes you're caught a little bit napping.
Yeah, you'll get those curveballs coming at you all the time.
Well, the fight's slowing down now. 10 seconds left, Kara. This is going to go to a round 2. But so far, this fight completely one-sided. Tevin Hines.
Well, to me, he should just stand up, take the fight back to your feet, and let your hands go. Let that leather land.
And that's exactly what his corner needs to tell him. Had those shots been a little bit harder, this fight might be over.
Well, Kevin Wittenberg in his corner, I mean, he's going to be a busy guy tonight. There's tons of guys coming here showing up for Michigan Extreme Combat Sports, representing that team, representing their grand opening. I know these guys have only been with, him for a short period of time, and they said they love the atmosphere, they love training here.
How about that facility?
Oh.
Do they have everything?
It's amazing.
I've paid for memberships at gyms that didn't have that much equipment. Yes, I used to go to the gym before you pop off about that. But our medical staff giving David Kallajh a quick checkout to make sure that he was okay. He has been cleared. And, he doesn't look like he's in any shape but to move on.
And you know what? He doesn't even look remotely hurt. That's the problem, that Tevin Hines has really got to deliver some of that power. I mean, he's landing the shots, but if you could sit down, put your hip through it, put your legs through it, I mean, there should be some knockout punches.
Up on that. He ranged with the left and then dropped a heavy right hand. Had he followed up with that, we wouldn't be going to a second round right now.
I like the way he comes in and uses his jab. It sets everything up. His footwork. But sometimes when you're bouncing too much, you're too high in the air, you don't have that foundation to land those big shots.
And he's got great hair. Let's see what gets started here in the second round. Let's see what advice his corner gave.
So Tevin Hines out of the red with the black compression, and we have David Kallajh with the blue and white. Taking a little timeout.
Well, yeah, he caught one right up the middle. He leapt into a leg that was already moving forward and rang the cup all the way across the cage here.
If I'm Tevin, I'm looking for some shade while I'm waiting because it's so hot. The sun is facing him directly, which could play a role. I would always try and keep my back so it's not in my eyes.
Quick tap of the glove.
Oh, clean, right on the button, but great. David Kallajh just taking it on the chin and coming right back.
Well, Tevin needs to do that every time David throws that leg because he drops his right hand every time he throws that low right kick.
Oh, another clean right hand, and there you see David Kallajh just drop right to the mat.
Well, Tevin is getting sucked into a wrestling match, and David Kallajh a little bit slick and crafty on the ground. You know what? He's got that arm tied off. He needs to start exploiting that because it didn't look for a second there like Tevin Hines knew what he was into there.
You can see that David Kallajh is just working off of just natural instinct. His moves are just something maybe he's been in the backyard wrestling with his boys. That's kind of how he looks in this.
He finds a hole and manages to fit into it for sure. Tevin Hines now, hopefully he learned a lesson from that little exchange. It could have ended much worse than it did. He needs to keep it on his feet. Now he's giving into the pressure here, Kara.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. And I don't know how much fatigue is playing a factor because he was holding his breath so much in that first round. You can see the mouth wide open.
This position on the ground is stalemate, and I'll tell you what, Josh Robinson, multiple-time NAGA medal winner, is not going to let them spend a lot of time on the ground collecting energy. They're going to either move forward, advance their position, or they're getting stood right back up to their feet. Got to watch that left arm of David's. He's leaving it wide open for a Kimura attempt.
Yeah, that's if Hines is.
No, he's locking it in now, but he let him slip out the back door with it. He took the pressure off the shoulder as he tried to set it. It was sort of almost a bait and switch by David Kallajh, and I'm starting to think he's got a little more ground training than he intimates here when he talks to people.
Right at the solar plexus, and then he's just pushed to the ground by Hines.
Well, he was completely off balance. His hips way back behind that left heel of his that he's using to post up with. It robs you of power, and it takes your balance completely away.
Hines has to go back to the jab and setting everything up like he did in that first round. He's just getting freestyle, but he's fatigued, as we said, like holding his breath. Gives him that fatigue, but you've got to give it to David Kallajh for just being jumped with the right hand.
This fight is over, Kara. I
don't know. We've seen so many survival instincts out of David. We're going to see how he can get out of this one.
If Tevin Hines can bring volume, he's going to give Josh Robinson no choice but to get in there. See, now he needs to pinch his knees together so that David can't slide out the back door there. Instead, he's trying to avoid that by down pressure, getting on the chest. The problem is you can't punch very effectively.
Big shot right there. Again, his head bouncing off the mat. But you know what? He's got to go for volume, and that's the trouble. He's looking for accuracy. A big shot to the nose with some blood out of the nose of David Kallajh. And he makes it out of the second round.
Somehow we're going to round 3. And I'll tell you what, until that last exchange, I had David Kallajh ahead on that card.
That's exactly what I was thinking, too. He dominated that round, but, you can steal a round. That's the crazy thing. You've got to just put it together. The trouble with Hines is he's trying to be too accurate. Just let your hands go. Something's going to land. I mean, even if you punch someone in the shoulder and the arm, you're going to do damage.
The trouble with Hines goes well beyond what he's trying to be too accurate. His non-breathing every time he does something that exerts himself has him absolutely exhausted on the side of the cage. And I would bet his corner is in there, not talking about technique, not talking about strategy, just making sure his fighter is ready for this third round, because this is where heart comes into play. And right now, he's a beaten man, and he's winning this fight.
Yeah, well, David Kallajh, man, it's impressive the heart that he has coming into this fight, because he, has been outskilled, but, I mean, he's hustled. In this last round, he hustled, and he's been hit, and he gets right back up.
And he's done a much better job at energy management.
Exactly.
He's definitely the fresher fighter. And, that's when you're exhausted and the other guy's fresh, that's when the mistakes happen. All right, fight fans, third round, David Kallajh, Tevin Hines. These guys, neither of them wanting to let it go to the cards, although at this point, if it ends in a finish, I would bet that Tevin Hines is going to come out on the wrong end of this.
And he just barely lost that last round, I would say. He's standing as a southpaw trying to wing shots, but he's got to just come cleaner, come down the pipe just like that. And maybe he does better as a southpaw, so switching back, I don't know.
Well, he's got to be careful he doesn't get countered, because we've already seen Tevin.
Two doubled up the right hand, and that's a key for the fighters out there. If you can double up the same side, you really throw somebody off.
But what's he do? He resets. He had his guy on the ropes, and now
he's so fearful of being tired, and that's what you'll see with a lot of fighters when they don't know how to manage their breathing. I mean, they can get somebody hurt, but big slam.
Big slam. David Kallajh went for that lazy hip toss, and as slippery as those guys are, it slipped right off, and he's in a lot of trouble right now. There's not a guy on the planet with some grappling experience, and this point in the fight, there's no way that this fight should get back to its feet.
God, just the survival instincts and the heart of David Kallajh is pretty impressive.
Tevin Hines completely physically exhausted. He's really just looking to ride out the clock.
Yeah, and that's the problem with exhaustion. You take too many breaks. You go in spurts. Your foot on the gas, and then you just take 30 seconds off.
Well, wisely finding an opening to step out. And I'll tell you what, if you're David Kallajh, you've got to let him up and hope you can knock him out, because that's the only chance you have to win this fight. I've never agreed with the philosophy that you made it through the fight, you're a winner.
Right.
This is not the junior soccer league where everybody gets a medal. You guys are trying to beat each other up. Go out there and finish.
And look at the heart of, even though David Kallajh doesn't really know what he's doing when he pushes his punches together,
he's got to get those hooks in
determined.
this time. He got rolled over last time like this, and he's making the same mistake. He's going to position himself too high and get rolled through. He either needs to bring volume, Kara, or work on those hooks.
Well, Hines is just looking for a break, and he's just got to dig deep, and he's got to just go in there and finish this fight.
And there was an obvious example of David Kallajh being an independent fighter, just not having the tools. He had an exhausted opponent in the best spot he could hope to have him, and couldn't do anything to advance his position.
Well, this is where Hines' wrestling background should kick in a little bit and be able to, end this fight for himself.
Well, when you've got a wrestling background, but you haven't really done a lot of MMA training, a guy who wants to stay on his back really stymies you, because you're not used to it. Your whole game is to get people on their back. Now what do I do? He needs to get some separation and get some volume of punches coming in again. At this short time, Kara, I don't see us not going to the cards, and it's a pretty lopsided fight from that end of it.
Well, because of David Kallajh coming in, he's got so much heart. He's obviously got courage. He needs to find a gym and then maybe keep pursuing this.
Both of these guys just content to ride out the clock here. They're going to let the judges make the decision, and for Tevin Hines, there shouldn't be any surprises here. He was in control pretty much from start to finish. He got himself in a little trouble early on in the second round, but definitely able to go ahead and finish that with some heavy volume and just a lot of big shots there at the end of the fight, at the end of the round.
But giving the crowd a good show for the first fight of the night. Because you never know what you're going to get when guys have such shallow records. It's hard to match them, too, when they have shallow records. But, this wasn't a bad matchup. And David Kallajh still came to fight, even though he is an independent fighter. But he would be well served to find himself a gym.
He was absolutely a gamer. I'd love to see him with some actual training under his belt, for sure. Watching this guy fight again will
You
be
know,
a pleasure.
and when I spoke to Tevin Hines before the fight, he said he wasn't nervous, but he's a little cautious because he didn't know how that hand would pan out. He did break his hand on the guy's head, his last opponent, and he was a little leery about how it was going to feel. I mean, he had to take 2 years off. I mean, I broke my hand before on someone's head, and you came back
2 rounds off.
exactly. Come back too early, and you end up with damage for forever and ever. But it's the worst, and then you're cautious because you know that pain and what that feels like, that broken hand.
I gotta imagine it's no different than any other severe injury that requires you to take some time off. The psychological aspect of the recovery is far more time-consuming than the physical.
I think that was what the main opponent was for Tevin Hines in this fight. Was his hand.
All right, fight fans, let's go into the cage.
Applause for both of the fighters in this cage. After 3 rounds of mixed martial arts, all the judges score this contest 30-27 for your winner by unanimous decision, Tevin "Kid Flash" Hines.
Classy dude, going around shaking all the corners' hands. That's what you want to see. And here he's going to get a chance to talk to Pete Trevino.
All right here in the winner's circle with Tevin, moving your record up 2-1. Congratulations to you, man. Took you all 3 rounds for a good opponent. There's your camera right there, the Michigan Extreme Combat Sports camera. Say all you got to say to all your friends, family, and fans watching.
Riley King, bro, thank you for showing up. Everybody else comes got you. Don't fall for that. My Taz, you know what's up. Kevin, girl up in the gym, let me train there. Appreciate it. And if I was in shape, I would have done better, but I'm not in shape. So.
Sounds good, man. Well, he opened up the new gym. I'm sure you'll get in shape right now. Congratulations to you, ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Tevin "Kid Flash" Hines.
He's in shape. I wish I was.